मङ्गलानं च सर्वेसि परमं हवै मङ्गलम् परमं हवै मङ्गलम्
Jai Jinendra, everyone. On behalf of Jain Study Center of North Carolina, we are all gathered here to remember our beloved Madhukerbhai Mehta. We have organized this session for us to get together as a community and share some reflections. I would like to thank Geeta Ben, Dharmesh, and Dina, and any other family members who I couldn't see on the video. Thank you for your presence. At this time, I would like to request all of you to mute your lines if you are not speaking. Given the occasion, we have planned this event so that the flow is smooth. We're gonna start with a prayer. We have pre-prepared tribute remarks by some of our community members and a lot of local friends who have been here with Madhukerbhai for a very long time. Towards the end, we're going to have a reflection session. And part of the reflection session, we have selected some curated photos of all the years Madhukerbhai has been here with us at all of the community events. As we had mentioned in the email, we want to make this a celebration of his life. So, we want to remember for the great person he was and the contribution that he did, not only, for the community, but also for all the children of the community. He was very fond of, Patshala kids or any event that would involve youth. So we want to make this primarily a celebration of life. And then in the end, we have set aside some time for other, members of the community or even members of the family to, come forward and share maybe their thoughts. So with that, I would like to invite Aarti Ben Shah to start us off with Manglacharan and Astavan. Aarti Ben.
Thank you. Jai Jinendra to all of you. First, Namaskar Mahamangal. અને ત્યાર પછી વિરાયતનમાંથી ગવાયેલું સાધ્વી શ્રી સંઘમિત્રાજીએ ગાયેલું છે. સો એ લઈશું. ઓમ નમો હરિહંતાણમ ઓમ નમો સિદ્ધણમ ઓમ નમો આયર્યાણમ ઓમ નમો વજ્રાયણમ નમો લોય સવસાહુણમ એસો પંચણમોકારો સવ પાવપણાસણો મંગલાણં ચ સવ્યસિં પરમં હવૈ मङ्गलम् परमं हवये मङ्गलम् चत्तारि मङ्गलम् अरिहन्त मङ्गलम् सिद्धा मङ्गलम् साहु मङ्गलम् केवली पण्णतो धम्मो मङ्गलम् केवली पण्णतो धम्मो मङ्गलम् चत्तारि लोगुत्तमा अरिहन्त लोगुत्तमा सीता लोगुत्तमा साहु लोगुत्तमा केवली पण्णतो धम्मो लोगुत्तमो केवली पण्णतो धम्मो लोगुत्तमो चत्तारि शरणं पवचामि अरिहन्ते शरणं पवचामि सिद्धे शरणं पवचामि साहु शरणं पवचामि केवली पण्णतं धम्मं शरणं पवचामि केवली पण्णतं धम्मं शरणं पवचामि भावना दिन रात मेरी सब सुखी संसार हो सत्य संयमशील का व्यवहार बारंबार हो धर्म के विस्तार से संसार का उद्धार हो पाप का परिहार हो और पुण्य का संचार हो भावना दिन रात मेरी सब सुखी संसार हो सत्य संयम शील का व्यवहार बारंबार हो ज्ञान की सद ज्योति से अज्ञानता का नाश हो धर्म के सद आचरण से शांति का आवास हो भावना दिन रात मेरी सब सुखी संसार हो सत्य संयम शील का व्यवहार बारंबार हो शांति सुख आनंद का प्रत्येक घर में वास हो वीरवाणी पर सभी संसार का विश्वास हो भावना दिन रात मेरी सब सुखी संसार हो सत्य संयम शील का व्यवहार बारंबार हो रोग भय और शोक होवे दूर है परमात्मा ज्योति से परिपूर्ण होवे सब जगत की आत्मा भावना दिन रात मेरी सब सुखी संसार हो भावना दिन रात मेरी सब सुखी संसार हो सत्य संयम शील का व्यवहार बारंबार हो सत्य संयम शील का व्यवहार बारंबार हो थैंक यू जय जिनेन्द्र
Thank you, Arti Ben. for selecting that wonderful stavan and leading us with Manglacharan. I remember Sang Mitraji, who was Mangalam before she took Diksha. This was her favorite song. And I remember several occasions when we have hosted her. Thank you to Madhukerbhai and Geeta Ben. This was always one of the savans that she has sung for us. So thank you for singing it us for us again. Those of you who don't know, my name is Anand Shah. I'm the president of John Jain Study Center of North Carolina. I would like to just say a few words in memory of Madhukerbhai. We suffered a great loss in last November. He was one of our great pillars of community. Our beloved Madhukerbhai Mehta passed away on November 26, 2021. He led a great life. When I think of him, one of the first images that comes to my mind is always a smiling face. No matter the occasion, no matter the complexity, no matter the challenge, he would never, I don't think I have ever seen him even frowning. I think I had the privilege of knowing a great man. So our family, myself and Shweta, even before we had kids, we arrived in North Carolina along with Madhukerbhai roughly around the same time, maybe within a year or so. And like many newcomers, one of the first things I did is I go to the temple and I ask around and I'm like, yeah, so I would love to meet, other fellow giants and get to know them, maybe participate in any of the events. So coincidentally, it also happened to be around the time when JSCNC was celebrating the 20 years. And in the, for those of you who have been around long enough to remember this, it used to be that the access around the deity and even, access to all the idols was open at the time. So we had set up, I think Praveen Bhai was, as always, he was the kind of the face of this whole event. And I saw a quiet man, working in the background, like setting up all of these specific posters that were prepared, lots of Jain memorabilia or JSCNC memorabilia, some Jain upkarans. And, the intensity and the focus with which he was working, I was very curious. I'm like, wow, this is somebody, who really, really is a hardworking person and working intently on getting this exhibition set up. So I approached him and I said, I'd like to introduce myself. I am new here. This was, of course, Madhukerbhai. And he dropped everything, whatever he was working. I think I vividly remember, I think he was like trying to hang something up on one of the walls. Maybe it was a poster, and like there was a ladder sitting there. So he instantly comes down and he's like, oh, wait, great, welcome. And he spent a good 15 to 30 minutes with me, gave me a complete overview of what JSCNC is, all the events, even extended an invitation to visit him someday. The warmth that I felt and the connection that I felt that I formed with him was instantaneous. No words could describe. And of course, for those of you who know me, when like my parents at the time, didn't live here, so he was close to someone that I can look up to. So as I started talking to him, I also learned that he also happened to share the same technology background that I did. So now, our bond gotten instantaneously stronger because not only we could talk about JSCNC and all the great things that JSCNC did and about the local community, maybe explaining me a little bit of the sports rivalry we have. I had no idea about, the great college basketball rivalry. So he kind of, gave me a full, overviews like, Anand, you're going to have to make sure, you learn and you become knowledgeable if you live in North Carolina for long enough. Anyhow, over the next 2 decades, I felt like our bond continued to become stronger and stronger, especially as I started getting involved as a volunteer initially, and then later on, I had several tours in the executive board with JSCNC. Um, every time that I was involved, um, and then, I mean, here I am, right? Like in my mid 30s, I had no idea how to run a community organization. I needed some advice. While Praveen Bhai would always have kind of a big picture thinking advice, he reminded me of someone who goes up on the TED stage and talks about big ideas. But when it comes to execution, right? Like how do you get to the ideas? I felt like Madhukerbhai was that person who can clearly explain the roadmap of step one, step two, step three, like in all the meticulous details. And he would make sure that I have a full picture and a full understanding of how might I get from point A to point B. Until that, I mean, till I guess, recent events, every time I got stuck with a matter, or maybe, there was something that I needed advice, either, community related or personally, I would always go to him. He would, again, he had a very good analytical mind. He was always very thorough. He was meticulous, and definitely, his attention to details were second to none. Um, of course, I can go on and fill the entire hour explaining all the things he has done for JSCNC. But we have a few more speakers lined up after me, so I'm gonna have them kind of give a specific examples. But as I mentioned, any event that you name that JSCNC sponsored, or even started thinking about sponsoring, Mahavir Jayanti, Paryushan, all of the scholar visits, right? So in addition to Virayathan, he would also work on getting other esteemed scholars visit. He and Gita Ben, I can't even remember how many times we have been to his place to attend those discourses. A lot of great efforts. Reaching out to the local students at the universities, and inviting them to come to the regular JSC NC events, even give them a ride. Um, and of course, I should thank him for introducing me to Verizon. Um, this was one organization that I didn't know a whole lot about. But when my oldest son was born, that was the first year. So it was 2003. He introduced me to the Gift of Sight program, and of course, over the years, all of the great initiatives that Virayathan did. Um, I feel like he was an embodiment of the three, founding pillars, Seva, Siksha, and Sadhana, that Virayathan is founded on. So, what I'm sure, I can't think how we're gonna replace him. There's no words, but at least I have comfort in knowing that all of his teachings, all of his deeds for the community, and all the great advice that I received over the years, um, is going to stay with me, and the next generation after me also is going to benefit from all the great work that he did. Thank you, Madhukerbhai, for being there for us, and we will always remember you.
Yeah.
Now I would like to invite Praveen Bhai. Praveen Bhai, as a lot of you know, is probably one of his oldest local friends, and maybe a fellow IBMer. So, Praveen Bhai, over to you.
Thank you, Anand. I am Praveen Shah. Oh, just a minute.
Praveen Bhai, I think you muted yourself. You were okay the first time.
All right, sorry about this.
Okay, now we can hear you clearly. Go
Thank
ahead, please.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Anand. And I am Praveen Shah, the founding member of Jain Study Center of North Carolina. We started the organization in 1979, and then we just keep expanding it. We make our study center. Okay. When Madhukerbhai decided to move from Florida to Raleigh, naturally being IBMer, he called me. He explained we have many common friends, and he moved here on 15th of August. 15th of August, 1997. So it's about 25 years ago, right? Within a week, we meet, and then he asked me any work he can do, all the kind of the things. So he asking the wrong guy. Whenever anybody really asks me, is there anything I can do? We just kind of loaded it up. Just since he asked it, we discussed it, and we made within 2 months, within 3 months, the second YGA Southeast Regional Convention in November 1997. So you can imagine, August is coming. We made the second YGA convention with 100 students attending for 4 days on a Thanksgiving weekend. And Madhukar did not even came by himself. With all the families, Rajiv, Dharmesh, Dina, everybody. Dina was very active in the YGA convention. And that convention occurred after 4 months. And he took care of complete administrative, all the database, everything, Madhukar Bhai, with the new, very quick learner, and picked up everything. And we did the convention very well. Okay, there was a co-chairperson of this 4-day youth convention. This was the first convention of our society. 100 youths participated from more than 20 different states. He was overall in charge of all administrative details, which included food, enrollment, accommodation, souvenir, advertisements, and the database. He started planning the activities as soon as he moved. Uh, he worked long hours and effectively managed the entire operation. He is a very detail-oriented person. Needless to say that the first convention hosted by our center was a great success at that time to manage it in 1997. Then, second year, we did Jain Pathshala Teachers Convention. And again, he is the one who is handling the all administrative detail of everything. So you can see 1 year later, we decided to hold the first Jain Pathshala teachers workshop at our center. Madhukerbhai was the workshop manager. 40 adults and 13 YJA professionals from 18 different states participated in the workshop for 4 days. He managed the entire administrative aspects of the workshop, which included hotel accommodations, arrangement, sorry, okay, I got a little eye problem, that's why, and professional arrangements, registration, vegan food, and the database. The workshop was also a great success. Jain Digest carried a full page coverage of the workshop. The third project he got involved is give the gift of a site the day you show the light with Virayatan. Madhukerbhai has been very active supporter of Virayatan. He has been one of the pioneering and later had a single-handed managed the gift of sight program since 1998 to raise the funds to support Netra Jyoti Seva Mandir Eye Hospital, which provides free cataract surgeries to needy people. He was very instrumental to organize the first ever Virayatan's Global Conference in 2014 in USA. He had been recently appointed in the executive committee of Virayatan International USA. Madhukerbhai was very active in this project with Arvind Shah. In less than a year, they have raised more than $18,000 and sent this donation to Virayatan to support their eye operation activities. Since then, Madhukerbhai continuously maintained the contributors database and informed them regularly on every birthday about the project. Madhukerbhai has also worked as a volunteer to support North-South Foundation organized elementary through high school level, annual regional and national level competitions in various disciplines such as vocabulary, spelling bees, geography, mathematics, etc. Then Madhukerbhai now moved into the Jain Center's executive committees. Okay, and he started many things, contributed personal, financial, everything. If you really look into it, Madhukerbhai's, it is unbelievable, efficiency, dedication, what he has accomplished it. Madhukerbhai has also served JCNC secretary twice, president once. During his tenure as a secretary, JCNC celebrated 20 years under his leadership, and the history was collected, compiled, edited to published a unique JSCNC souvenir. Similarly, he participated in JSCNC's 40 years celebration and published the souvenir at the same time. Madhukerbhai is available and helps in many ways to carry out center's initiatives, activities. The activities could be to support a Jain scholar visit, Mahavir Jayanti program, bring students to and from local universities to Jain activities, bhavnas, pratikaman, etc. JSCNC sponsored highway cleanup or to support and reach out locally and globally to any disaster or sickening events. Any humanitarian activity, you would find Madhukerbhai is there right up in the front. Although Madhukerbhai has not written any Jain articles or taught any Jain principles, he strongly believed in Jain values and principles. He worked every possible way to promote Jainism. He has been working with Jaina Education Committee to organize Jainism related lectures. Madhukari is also working as a technical leader to manage Jain Educational Library. One of the best things what Madhukerbhai did is organize that library. It needed a leadership, things, technical leadership person, and he already put together. And the library, we had a really improved the searching function significantly, and he provided a great technical leader. Madhukerbhai came to North Carolina, North America in late 60s. Since then, he lived mostly in USA, including 5 years in Canada and 5 years in Japan. His children, two sons, Rajiv and Dharmesh, daughter Dina, are equally fortunate to have international traveling opportunities in their own professional careers. They are all married with the Jains or their spouses that make them to be proud Jain family with the total Jain values embodied in them. His son, daughter, they have done the attais. So you can imagine the kind of the family that was raised, both Dina, Dharmesh, and everybody like did so much tapasya that time. And thanks, Geeta Ben, raising the family with a very Jain way of life. I think he has done significant things for Virayatan, for Jaina Education Committee, Jain Pathshala. The whole thing got organized so well. And of course, all Jain centers of North Carolina, like it was the home. We are become like a one big family. And we would like to request you, Geeta, that even though whether you settle over here or there, just keep in mind the big families are all here. Okay, even though here, anytime if you need any kind of the help or support or anything, just call any of us. We will be very happy to support you. And I thank you.
Thank you, Praveen Bhai. I would like to invite Ramanik Bhai Jota, um, our esteemed local scholar, as well as a longtime community member, to share his reflections regarding Madhukerbhai. Please unmute. Ramanik Bhai, please unmute.
Always I call, probably I was the only one calling not Madhukerbhai, but it was my best friend. I'm going to reflect my experience with the Madhukar. Madhukar was a unique person. I never met anybody who's like him. In my view, he was a human diamond with a multiple shining facets. And whether it was stubborn husband, Jivan Sati of 50 plus years, critics, salakar, and companion. Whether he was Raji Dharmesh Edina's father and their advisor and biggest cheerleader. Whether he was a grandparent of 6 beautiful grandchildren. These are the some of his multiple facets of his diamond. And Seva. Seva, he created Seva as a Jainism. Seva is a Dharma. And he's like a mentioned by Prabhupada, is a great association with Virayatan, Tanman Dhanti, long-term Seva, and he did a wonderful job with all Sadhviji and Sangh. His Seva with also Jain Center of Northern Study Center, North Carolina. I have witnessed his Seva few times, his dedication. In a New Jersey Jain convention, when Sadhviji and Samniji having a trouble in a hotel registration for 2 hours, this man was sick, but he didn't care about it. He stayed there and helped them. And then later on, he was sick, he required the treatment. I have seen him in Detroit Jain convention when Samniji needed help. And yes, they need a ride, but they had to wait. And we were them, and we were said, Madhukar, we are going. He said, Bhai, tame jao, I'll take care. There are so many examples of seva. Then comes help. That's the other facet of his life. Man, this guy had a sense for help. He will go when there is he knows where is the help needed. Help was, Ramesh Bhai was sick and he would go and support him morally. Whether Praveen Bhai need e-library help or any kind of situation, social friend, any help without telling a name, he helped whenever they needed. Even socially speaking, in my personal, he was a very superior help in our two weddings. In last wedding, he created with Ajay, our helper volunteer group. And today we have that group, different, awesome, selfless, on via Madhukar. That is the legacy. And other facet is a friend. Boy, Madhukar and Gita Ben in my 13 years was the best friend we had. Socially, we have spent so many nights at Mehta's house for a dinner party. We spent a lot of late night playing judgment game in his basement. He will keep his score. His glass is halfway on the knees. In the last, when score is down, he will keep score and win. Then Gita Ben or other people say, Madhukar, you keep the score and win. He was always in our movie club, whether he like a movie club. Gita Ben has a lot of interest in a movie. Madhukar will join every time whenever he not in Seattle or India and enjoy. He had a humorous. He was whether is a Harshad Padya or Ramnik Jota. He will tell you, Ramnik bhai, તમે જંગચી doctor છો. મેં કીધું કેમ? તો તમારું લખેલું કોઈ વાંચી શકે નહીં. તમારી સ્પેલિંગ અને ગ્રામ એટલી મિસ્ટેક કરો છો, તમારા કરતા લતાબેન પણ સારું લખે છે. મેં કીધું thank you. I always take that positive. ઉપરાંત, last facet, Madhukar, if you know him, he enjoyed the life. People think he's a serious man. No, he enjoyed the life. Every aspect, we have spent so many time together having fun. And last, the longest fun we had when we took East Mediterranean cruise for 12 days. We go every day, every visit, food, everything. We had a fun. And some of the fun on a boat, I cannot even mention here. Okay, Gita Ben knows it, so I'm not going to mention. To my friend, Madhukar and Gita Ben, for last 12 years, we consider superhuman being, but best friend. And I have a quote for him. The 12-year friend. न जाने कितने गीत जो होठों पे अनजान पे है, and then he said कि लाइफ में हम मिलते हैं और when you say friend, ये अनजान है, जो हमारी लाइफ में अनजान होते हैं, एक लाइफ में हमारे लाइफ के मीत बन जाते हैं. मधुकर, कि घाव टाइम से रूस जाते हैं, scar never leaves you. जय जिनेंद्र.
Thank you, Ramnik Bhai, for that great walk down the memory lane. Next, I would like to invite Mayur Bhai Lodaya. So those of you who don't know him, he's again another one of the transplants like myself. He moved here from another state, and just like Madhukerbhai is silent but very strong contributor and volunteer. And then lately he has kind of carried the Virayatan baton. So Mayur Bhai, over to you.
Thank you very much, Anand Bhai. First off, Geeta Ben, Dharmesh, and the entire family of Madhukar Bhai, including Dina. A sincere thank you for giving us the opportunity to pay a tribute to a person whom we knew for very few years, but he left a very deep and profound impression on both myself and Rita. About 5 years ago, during a trip to Summit Shikhar, we went to Rajgir, and we were fortunate to have Acharya Sriji's darshan, as well as in talking with Sadhvi Sangh Mitra ji, we learned about the need for Palitana school funding part. So when I came back, I requested Madhukar Bhai, knowing all the things that he was doing for the gift of sight, that how about if we move both of these projects together? And he immediately welcomed the idea, and that's how our journey started to become part of the Virayatan volunteer family, and we are very honored and proud to be part of it. And over these 5 years, all of things that I'm going to say are going to be very much centered around Virayatan, and the amount of learning that I have had and we have had from Madhukar Bhai has been immense. The qualities have been mentioned earlier by others, and I'm going to repeat some. Always smiling. When he is in an area, that smile spreads. That's his personality. A soft-spoken person, but with a very, very firm resolve and very detailed oriented, irrespective of the task, whether it's a small task or a large task. He is always very detailed oriented. All the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. You never have to worry about that part. So those are qualities that will always stay with me. In talking about the Gift of Sight program, as Praveen Bhai clearly mentioned, after he started the program with Arvind Bhai, he and Geeta Ben have really carried the program forward for now close to 25 years. If we sit back and think about it, that is a staggering amount of time period for somebody to dedicate his time and energy to that program. But he did it with a smile on his face all the time. And that kind of, when you are with such a person, it gives you the energy to do more. And that's how I always felt about it. And it's really the best tribute that we as a community can pay to Madhukerbhai would be to work together and continue this program. I know that Geeta Ben has a very strong resolve to continue the Gift of Sight program. And I would like to urge all of us as a community to ensure that we stay in support with her and very strongly support this program going forward. That was a hallmark of his work for Virayatan. As we know, Virayatan stands on the three pillars of Seva, Siksha, and Sadhana. As far as I'm concerned, through his actual actions, he symbolized what Seva means. To me, that is really what Seva would mean to me, is you do, once you believe in something, you do it and you put your life's work into it and you don't give it a second thought. To me, as they did this work, as I could see, there were two qualities that came right out to me. One is dedication, and second is keeping those poor patients who are getting their cataract surgery done in the forefront. That's really, if that's not Seva, I don't know what Seva is. So I would like to, in paying tribute to Madhukerbhai, urge all of us to really make sure that we work as a community as we have for all these years. Over these past 5 years, only 5 years that I have been working with Madhukerbhai, apart from the Gift of Sight, the Palitana School, we also very ably supported the eye hospital in Palitana. There is an operating room that has a JSCNC nameplate on it. All of that was contributed from the JSCNC community. And that is really, in many ways, through Madhukerbhai's efforts and other senior members' efforts over the years, JSCNC's name is cemented as a Virayatan supporting community, if you will, and we should continue that. So with that, I will rest my thoughts and I will end with Amulya Tattva Vichar poem, which was written by Srimad Rajchandra Bhagwan and the one that we sing in all of our monthly meetings. So I will end with that. And thank you again for this opportunity to pay tribute to Madhukerbhai. Please fold your hands as we go through this. Bahu punya kera punj thi subh de manavano malyo toye are bhava chakrano to nahi ke taryo sukh prapt karta sukh tade che ले से लग से लाहो क्षण क्षण भयंकर भाव मरणे का अहो राची रहो लक्ष्मी अने अधिकार वदता सुवद्यूं ते तो कहो सुकुटुंब के परिवार थी वधवापणु ए नय ग्रहो वधवापणु संसारनु नर देह नेहा रीजवो एनो विचार नहीं अहो एक पल तमने हवो निर्दोष सुख निर्दोष आनंद ल्यो गमेट्या थी भले दिव्य शक्ति मां જેથી જંજીરેથી નીકળે પર વસ્તુમાં નહીં મૂંઝવો એની દયા મુજને રહી એ ત્યાગવા સિદ્ધાંત કે પશ્ચાત દુઃખ તે સુખ નહીં હું કોણ છું ક્યાંથી થયો શું સ્વરૂપ છે મારું ખરું કોના સંબંધે વળગણા છે રાખું કે એ પરહરું એના વિચાર વિવેક પૂર્વક શાંત ભાવે જો કર્યા તો સર્વયાત્મિક જ્ઞાનના સિદ્ધાંત તત્વ અનુભવ્યા તે પ્રાપ્ત કરવા વચન કોનું સત્ય કેવલ માનવું નિર્દોષ નરનું કથન માનો તે જેણે અનુભવ્યું રે આત્મતારો શીઘ્ર એને ઓળખો સર્વાત્મમાં સમદ્રષ્ટિ દ્યો વચનને હૃદયે લખો સર્વાત્મમાં સમદ્રષ્ટિ દ્યો વચનને હૃદયે લખો. જય જિનેન્દ્ર.
જય જય.
Thank you, Mayurbhai. I would like to call Jagdish Bhai Shah to say a few words now.
ये बात नहीं, इसमें
Jagdish Bhai, please unmute. Jagdish Bhai, we cannot hear you. Can you unmute?
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
We're good now. Go ahead.
Thank you, Anand. Gita Ben, Dharmesh and Mehta family, Jagdish and Nalini. Madhukerbhai, as I know him for last 20 plus years, and recently, if I say, when we did the 40th e-convention, newsletter, we used to meet for about 6 months every other week on phone. His dedication for his work is like, I would say 100%. He was not only a thinker, he was a doer. When he took the job, whatever it is, he will give his 100% in it. He was a person that anybody can count on him. He raised the family that everybody envy that family. His son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter even. So whatever I can say is not enough when I say the Madhukerbhai did this, did that. But let me give you 1 or 2 examples. I think Jota mentioned it about it, but I will mention again. When the Jain convention was there in New Jersey, Channaji was in a line for a check-in for the hotel. Madhukerbhai was running a temperature, heavy fever. And we came to know, or I came to know later on, but he told Virayatan Channajis and their group that go ahead, sit down, and I will take care of the checking part of it. He stand in the line to check in. His condition was not good as far as his health was concerned. He did check in. The next day, he was admitted in a hospital. Now, you tell me what the dedication can be more than this. And he was in hospital for more than a week. So that's the kind of person he was. The other part of it, he was very humorous. We always joke about it. We had some differences between political differences, but that were kind of helping both of us to learn from each other. We always play cards together. I don't know how many times we had. He was very fond of Mexican food, and we always shared and went to different hotels and tried different restaurants. The other thing about Virayathan is it's not only that he worked hard on it, but he really know how to get the contribution more. And he was never afraid or never shy of asking for money because it was not for him, it was for Virayathan. And then that needs courage. That really needs the courage to do the project right and to fund the project. I would say that I will never forget him. He will be always in our heart, whether it's today or 10 years later. And I'm really proud of Nalini and we are proud that we have a friend like Madhukar and family like Gitaben and their sons and daughters. And we are really proud of it and proud of him. And I pray that his family remains intact as it is, and naturally we'll never forget him and we'll always remember him. And I will end here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jagdish Bhai. That was a
Thank you.
great call out, I would say. All of the fundraising skills, especially in a community setting, that I have learned over the years. Madhukar Bhai gets full credit because when you are working in a community setting, you are likely going to hesitate, or you don't know the right words, or you don't know the administration of the funds and all that. But he would always have a great approach and comfort and support to work on fundraising. So great call out on that. Next one we have is Rekha Ben Banker. Rekha Ben, please go ahead.
Jai Jinendra, everybody. There's nothing more beautiful than someone who goes out of their way to make life beautiful for others. And our Madhukerbhai, like Apna Madhukerbhai, was one such person. Selfless, caring, and compassionate, all in one. Many of us in the Jain community will vouch for that, because he was one who was there to help anyone whenever they needed him. He didn't have to be asked, and he would just go and be there whenever he had to do anything for anybody. For me personally, there were several incidents, and I'm just going to mention a couple things, but everybody knows, and I probably have said this before, that times like when my daughter got married, he was there. When I bought my house, he was there with me. And more recently in 2020, I dislocated my shoulder right in the middle of COVID. And they both came at 9 o'clock at night, even though I insisted that they could come the next day, but they came at night and brought me a big ice pack and everything, and just wanted to make sure. For those outsiders who are, or guests who are here, they don't know I'm by myself, and he has always been there for me. He never shied away from giving rides to anyone, and especially to me. And even though it was totally out of the way, I lived in North Raleigh, they live in Cary. But anytime, I mean, even if he got a hint from me that I don't want to go to a certain place because of that, they would come and get me. So, he was so helpful to everybody, not only in the local community, but as we all heard, globally also. He has helped through his Gift of Sight program or sponsoring the student program. And like someone said that, when he wants to ask for donations, I mean, he just comes to you and lets you do what you want to do. But all this for Virayathan. I mean, I had the opportunity to be in Palitana during the recent eye hospital opening, and so selfless that he wanted me to be part of the ceremony, and Gita Ben stayed in the audience, which I told him that wasn't right, but no, he just wanted to be, our center to be represented by various people, and that's how selfless he was. We all know his passion for Virayathan, and others, everybody will remember that besides that, there were those Sadhvijis who came from Chennai, and he just had one time during it was one of the conventions, I don't remember which one, and he happened to give them a ride to the place, to their hotel or something, and came to know them. And since then, he started being in touch with them. And every time they came to US, he invited them to come to Raleigh, and they've been here so many times. He would go to DC, pick them up, or go to Richmond, to somebody's house, not knowing anyone, any situation. But at any time, he was ready. And, all these acts of kindness, compassion, whatever we can call, I mean, he was there for that. It's just amazing what kind of personality he had, always there for anyone. Others have mentioned it, but for those who think that he was a very quiet person, but he was very witty. And you just had to be there with him at that time when, he cracked you up by whatever he said. આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં કહીએ ને ચમકલું મૂકે એવી રીતે. But it was so appropriate for that moment and the time that you wouldn't believe him. Then the other thing I would also remember about him is he was always there, especially for me. He always gave guidance when I asked for it, but he wouldn't just give you advice even if you didn't ask for it. He was there to help you when you needed. And that was such a great characteristic, that not just giving you advice when you don't need it, but give you all the proper guidance when you needed it. In talking about how helpful he was, Chetna hasn't been able to join today, but she reiterated the same thing, that when Ramesh Bhai was sick, Madhukerbhai was there all the time, every time, no matter in what type of help he needed, whether it was syncing all the gadgets together or any help needed in anything, they both would be there on a regular basis, going, checking out what help he needed and everything. So, I mean, we can go on and on talking about how helpful he was to everybody in the community, and we will always remember him. It's still hard to believe that he's not with us anymore, but we know he's in a wonderful place where he is. And with that, I will end by singing the Stavan, Maitri Bhavanu Pavitra Jarno, in his memory. मैत्री भावनो पवित्र जरणो मुझ हैया मावया करे शुभ थाओ आ सकल विश्वनो એવી ભાવના નિત્ય રહે, એવી ભાવના નિત્ય રહે. ગુણથી ભરેલા ગુણીજન દેખી, હૈયું મારું નૃત્ય કરે. એ સંતોના ચરણ કમળમાં મુજ જીવનનું અર્ધ્ય રહે, મુજ જીવનનું અર્ધ્ય રહે. દીન ક્રૂર ને ધર્મ વિહોણા, દેખી દિલમાં દર્દ રહે. કરુણા ભીની આંખોમાંથી અશ્રુનો શુભ સ્રોત વહે, અશ્રુનો શુભ સ્રોત વહે. માર્ગ ભૂલેલા જીવન પથિકને, માર્ગ ચીંધવા ઉભો રહો. કરે ઉપેક્ષા એ માર્ગની, તોય સમતા ચિત્ત ધરું, તોય સમતા ચિત્ત ધરું. ચંદ્ર પ્રભુની ધર્મ ભાવના, હૈયે સૌ માનવ લાવે. વેર ઝેરના પાપ તજી, મંગળ ગીતો એ ગાવે, મંગળ ગીતો એ ગાવે. મૈત્રી ભાવનું પવિત્ર ઝરણું, મુજ હૈયામાં વયા કરે. શુભ થાઓ આ સકળ વિશ્વનું, એવી ભાવના નિત્ય રહે, એવી ભાવના નિત્ય રહે. જય જિનેન્દ્ર.
Thank you, Rekhaben, for that great reflection. Lots of stories for sure. Next person I would like to invite is Dr. Mahesh and Indu Arya. They are also one of the founding members of Jain Study Center of North Carolina. And I would like to invite them to share a few words with us.
હું ગુજરાતીમાં બોલીશ, કેમ કે હું હંમેશા મધુકરભાઈ છે, અમે ગુજરાતીમાં ખૂબ વાતો કરતા હતા. મધુકરભાઈનો લાઈફનો ધ્યેય હતો બધાને મદદ કરવાનો. હવે આપણે આટલા બધા આગળથી ખૂબ જ જાણ્યું કે એને ફ્રેન્ડ, ફેમિલી, જૈન સ્ટડી ગ્રુપ ઓર કોમ્યુનિટીમાં કોઈને પણ હેલ્પની જરૂર હોય તો ત્યાં ચોક્કસ દિવસ હોય કે રાત હોય એ પહોંચી જતા અને પોતાની સર્વિસ આપતા. એમને વિરાયતન માટેની સર્વિસ તો અનલિમિટેડ હતી. હવે આ બધી વાતો તો હું નહીં કરું, કેમ કે આપણે ઘણી વાર સાંભળી અને we know that how much he was dedicated person. મારું અને એમનું વેરી સ્પેશિયલ કનેક્શન હતું. અમે કહેતા અમે જામનગરના, અને જ્યારે મળતા ત્યારે જામનગરના ગાંઠિયા, જામનગરની તળાવની પાળ, કોલેજની વાતો અને ખૂબ આનંદ માણતા. અમો ઘણી જ પાર્ટીઓ અને ડિનર સાથે લીધેલા છે અને ખૂબ ખૂબ આનંદ કર્યો છે. અમે સાથે પાલિતાણાની ટ્રીપ પણ સાથે કરેલ છે અને બીજી ટ્રીપ પણ સાથે કરવાનો વિચાર હતા, પણ અનફોર્ચ્યુનેટલી થઈ નથી શકી. અમે લાસ્ટ ડિનર બીકોઝ ઓફ કોવિડ ઘરમાં કરી ન શકાય, એટલે લાસ્ટ ડિનર અમે અમારા ગરાજમાં બેસીને જમ્યા હતા અને લાસ્ટ ડિનર એમના ઘરે અમે બેઝમેન્ટમાં બેસીને જમ્યા હતા. એક વસ્તુ હું જરૂર કહીશ કે મધુકરભાઈ, તમે જીવન જીવી જાણ્યા. We going to miss you so dearly. Geetaben, please get comfort and peace. We are always with you. Om Shanti. Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, Induben.
I will say a few words
The-
about Madhukerbhai. Madhukerbhai was emblematic and dedication for service, efficient and successful in all his endeavors on behalf of our center, but also for any project that he undertook. We have heard about his love and service for Virayathan. I want to recall my personal experience. He thought about raising funds for the eye hospital in Palitana that Virayathan was embarking on. He thought about our center donating the operating room for the eye surgery. And to my astonishment, he was successful in raising a large sum of money, I believe close to $60,000 for that operating room. And what's more important was that in 2019, we were in Palitana with several members of our center for the dedication ceremony of this hospital, the Adinath Netralaya. It's amazing how much he loved Virayathan, but beyond that, how much he loved what Virayathan was doing to help the needy people, whether it was education, whether it was eyesight, whether it was just committing up the Virayathan to all these seva activities. Another experience, more recently, some of us were involved in preparation for the 40th anniversary e-seminar for our center, which all of you, I think, have seen in the past year. I had the opportunity to work with Madhukerbhai as one of the several subcommittee members on this project. He brought a wealth of his knowledge from the 20th anniversary preparation of the seminar that he was directly involved in. In fact, he single-handedly collected the information of the history and not only made a e-seminar at that time, but it was actually a printed seminar, as we learned from Geetaben just this afternoon. He brought a wealth of his knowledge from the 20th anniversary seminar. He contributed his wisdom, his insights, and his skills. Amazing person. Madhukerbhai was selfless in service, tireless in the time he gave to all the people, to our center, to individual members, to Virayathan, and so much more. We will miss him. Geetaben, Dharmesh, Rajiv, Veena, all of the family, we will miss him dearly. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahesh Bhai and Induben. Final reflection of the evening will be from Arvind Bhai and Arunaben. Arvind Bhai, please unmute and go.
જય જિનેન્દ્ર. પ્રથમ તો ગીતાબેન, રાજીવ, ધર્મેશ, ડીના, પરિવારજનોને પ્રણામ. ઘણીવાર શું કહેવું એ પ્રશ્ન હોય છે, પરંતુ અહીંયા મર્યાદિત સમયમાં કેટલું કહેવું એ પ્રશ્ન છે. મારો એમનો મારે ખાસ વિરાયતન માટે કહેવાનું છે. બહુ શોર્ટમાં 1996માં જ્યારે ચાઇના દ્વારા યોજાયેલ સમદ શિખરની યાત્રામાં વિરાયતનમાં શ્રી અમરમુનિની 25મી જયંતિ મહોત્સવમાં જવાનું થયું. વિરાયતનમાં થતા આંખના ફ્રી ઓપરેશન માટે કંઈક યોગદાન આપવાનો વિચાર આવ્યો અને એક યોજના બની. એ યોજના ગીવ ધ ગિફ્ટ ઓફ સાઇટ ધ ડે યુ સો લાઇટ. આ ટાઇટલ એટલું સરસ બનાવ્યું. હવે બનાવનારે મેં હજુ 25 વર્ષમાં કોઈ ક્રેડિટ આપી નથી. આજે એને બી આપી દઉં. એ આ 25 વર્ષ પહેલા એ બનાવેલું એ નિમિત સાહેબ બનાવતો એ બી અનુમોદનાને પાત્ર છે. આ સાઇટમાં તમારા જન્મદિવસે તમને બી દ્રષ્ટિ મળી જન્મસ્થા, તો એ દિવસે તમે તમારી કોઈ બીજાની દ્રષ્ટિ પણ મળે એ એની યોજના પાછળનું એક ઓપરેશનનું દાન આપવું $20 એ ત્યાંથી શરૂ થયું. ત્યાંથી આવ્યા પછી મધુભાઈને મળીને વાત કરી તો મધુભાઈ એમાં જોડાયા. મેં એની સાથે ફક્ત 2 વર્ષ કામ કર્યું. ત્યાર પછી એમણે અને ગીતાબેને એ કામ એમના હાથમાં લીધું. છેલ્લા 25 વર્ષથી એમની નિષ્ઠા, હિરાયતન પ્રત્યેની એની આસ્થા અને તન મનથી સેવા આપી. અત્યાર સુધીમાં લગભગ આ યોજના હેઠળ $180,000 વિરાયતનને ફાળો ગયો છે. હું તો ફક્ત નિમિત્ત જ બન્યો છું, પણ ખરી અનુમોદનાના માલિક તો મધુભાઈ છે અને સાથે સાથે ગીતાબેનનો ફાળો પણ ઘણો અનુમોદનીય છે. આ સિવાય બધાએ ઘણું બધું કર્યું. બીજા બધા ફિલ્ડમાં કામ કર્યું છે. મધુભાઈ વિરાયતમાં પાલીતાણા હોસ્પિટલમાં ઓપરેશન થિયેટર બનાવવામાં ઘણી યોગદાન આપ્યું. એમણે ઇન્ટરનેશનલ ગ્લોબલમાં સેક્રેટરી તરીકે સેવા આપી. વિરાયતનના કન્વેન્શનમાં, ગ્લોબલ કન્વેન્શનમાં, સાન હોઝની દીક્ષા મહોત્સવમાં અને એમણે આઈટી ફિલ્ડમાં બી એમણે ઘણી બધી સેવા વિરાયતનને આપી. એમણે એમની અતૂટ અને નિસ્વાર્થ સેવા આપી છે. એમને સેવાનું કામ જો એમના કામની પદ્ધતિ જોઈ હોય તો 1-2 વસ્તુ મેં ઘણી બધી એમને નોટિસ કરી છે. એમને સ્ટેમ્પ કલેક્શનની તમે જોઈ હોય તો કેટલા સરસ આલ્બમ સાથે બનાવ્યું છે, નીટ એન્ડ ક્લીન. એમની ફોટોગ્રાફીના બધા આલ્બમો જોયા હોય તો ડેટ વાર છે, આર્ટ કલેક્શન છે. Everything he does is a very methodical. સમયની મર્યાદામાં અહીં બધા એમના કામની યાદી કરી શકાય એમ નથી, તો અહીંયા હું એમને એમના કામ બદલ અને એમના ઘણા નિસ્વાર્થ બધા કાર્યો બદલ એમને કોટી કોટી વંદના. હવે પછી હું એક ભક્તાવાનનો જીનેશ્વરને પ્રણામનો એક શ્લોક બોલી. એ મધુભાઈને જે પ્રિય હતું, નવકાર મંત્રનો મહિમા સાંભળો એ હું બોલીશ. તુભ્યં નમસ્ત્રીતિ ભુવનાતિહરાય નાથ, તુભ્યં નમઃ મલભૂષણાય, તુભ્યં નમઃ ત્રિજગત પરમેશ્વરાય, તુભ્યં નમો જીનભવો નદીશોષણાય. સમરો મંત્ર બલો નવકાર, એ છે 14 પૂરવનો સાર. એના મહિમાનો નહીં પાર, એનો અર્થ અનંત અપાર. સુખમાં સમરો દુઃખમાં સમરો સમરો દિવસ ને રાત જીવતા સમરો મરતા સમરો સમરો સૌ સંગાત સમરો મંત્ર બલો નવકાર એ છે 14 પુરવનો સાર યોગી સમરે ભોગી સમરે સમરે રાજા રંગ દેવો સમરે દાનવ સમરે સમરે સૌની સંક સમરો મંત્ર બલો ના કાર્ય છે 14 પુરવ સાર 68 અક્ષર એના જાણે 68 તીરથ સાર 8 સંપદા થી પરમાણુ 68 દાતા સમરો મંત્ર બલો નવખા એ છે 14 પુરવનો સાર નવ પદ નવ નિધિ આપે ભવ ભવના દુઃખ કાપે વીર વચનથી હૃદય વ્યાપે પરમાત્મ પદ આપે સમરો મંત્ર બલો નવકાર એ છે 14 પુરવનો સાર એના મહિમાનો નહીં પાર એનો અસયાનંત અપાર જય જિનેન્દ્ર
Thank you, Arvind Bhai. Thank you for sharing those stories. The final Geeta Ben, Dharmesh, I think I see a few more faces too from the family. I think I see maybe Rajiv. I think Amy maybe and Dina. Anyhow, I apologize if I miss someone. There are lots of faces on my WebEx window. So, in keeping of kind of a theme of remembering all the great memories Madhukerbhai shared with us in the community, we have prepared a small slideshow that I would like to present to you. I have asked Sejal Shah. She is one of our Pathshala directors, and like me, long time friend of Madhukerbhai and Geeta Ben. So Sejal, go ahead and please share your presentation.
Anand.
Thank you. Somebody was saying something?
Yeah, we'll go through this presentation first, and then we will open it up. So let us go through the presentation first, please.
All right. Jai Janendra, everyone. Jai Janendra, Geeta Auntie, Dharmesh, Rajiv, Amy, and Dina. What a legacy that Madhukerbhai has left for us. And yes, we have to try our best to continue fulfilling his legacy and the path that he has carved for us. We have to continue and do more to it. So let me share my screen. Anand Bhai, can you see the screen?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay, thank you. So Madhukerbhai, when I hear this name, ek shant, saumya, and hasmukh chehro જ સામે આવે. And this picture, it's really is the picture that I have, and I will always remember Madhukar uncle. The picture that is really the reflection that I will remember with me forever. He was always, as everyone has said, he was always smiling. and he was the pillar of our community, our GSCNC community. So I was very fortunate to know Madhukar uncle and also to work with him. I worked with him very closely for Virayatan International Executive Committee for 2 years. And I can vouch, yes, he was a very meticulous, very methodical person. And oh my gosh, very detail oriented, and everything was kept, all the folders for so many years. He has been working with Virayatan for so many years. Everything is so meticulous. So I learned a lot from him, how to put all the documents in one place, how to find them. It was amazing, amazing. He was, for our community, he was always ready to participate, whether it was Father's Day picnic, or it was Paryushan Bhavna, or be a chain meeting, where I remember that where Geeta Ben and Madhukar Bhai, they were gracious enough to host this Shamanijis. They came during Paryushan, the Samvatsari day, and or before, just before Samvatsari, and Madhukar Bhai and Geeta Ben were gracious enough to host them and bring them to our temple, and we had a discourse session over there. So he was always ready to help in whatever way he can, as everybody has mentioned that many times. He was also, again, always ready. I know it might be very hard for you to locate him, but he's right here in our Jain meeting, monthly meeting. It was Mother's Day meeting. Here, he is right here in the back for a scholars session. I think we had Vincent Shekhar as one of the scholars in 2019, and he was there. He was always there, whether Geeta Ben and Madhukar Bhai, when they were in town and we had a JSCNC event, you will always, always, always find him, both of them at our events. So we are very grateful to them. He had a very charismatic personality, as everyone has mentioned. He was very witty, always ready with that instant one-liner or joke, a great friend to many of the community members. He was very perceptive. I mean, I think someone mentioned that, or Anand Bhai mentioned that he would understand the problem or any situation very well, very quickly, and he would come up with the solution, the best solution, how to resolve that conflict or situation, whether it be financial, logistics, or any planning. So he was always good with that. And he did all that with that smile on his face. So here are some memories from our Camp Lalit, where he and Geeta Ben would always attend and be part of that community event. He was not only attending or participating, he was always ready to help. No matter what small or what amount of task that was, whether it was small or big, he was always ready to help and also lead when it needed. I think these are the pictures from Crop Walk, and Ajay Bhai can confirm that one time Ajay Bhai always has led our Crop Walk, and he was in need for someone to look for finances. And he called Madhukar Bhai, and Madhukar the day before, and said, hey, Madhukar Bhai, I need your help. I need someone to do the finances. And Madhukar Bhai immediately said yes. And not just for that year, that continued for year after year. So he became the part of that Crop Walk for years to go. Madhukar Bhai also was very involved, and with his efforts, he was able to bring certain events to our center. One of them was Shatabdan that we did in July of 2019. Many of our members, community members, attended this Shatabdan. It was one of a kind event. If you remember, this was my first time attending something like this, and I was so impressed. This Jai Jain, he was doing Shatabdan. He was from Virayatan, and along with that, we also had a pleasure of having Sadhvi Sanghmitraji, who sang melodious stavans for us. And on cherry on top, we all got a special blessings from Acharya Channaji on that day. If I don't know if you remember, but that was one handmade that Channaji had made, that clay pot, and sent us the blessings to all of us, and we were able to receive that from her. So it was all thanks to Madhukerbhai and Geetaben, and they were the host for those guests. Also in, I believe it was the year 2015, during Paryushan, we had Sadhvi Sanghmitra ji was present in North Carolina, and Madhukerbhai was able to arrange a melodious Paryushan bhavna. And you can see from the attendance that the hall was packed with people, and everyone, little kids to adults, we all enjoyed absolutely wonderful singing of Sadhvi Sanghmitraji. It was one of the best Paryushan bhavnas. And the next day it was our Samvatsari Pratikraman, and Madhukerbhai and Geetaben were kind enough to bring Sadhvi Sanghmitraji to grace us for this Pratikraman as well at Varya, Mahesh Uncle and Indu Auntie's house. And as everyone has already said, that he was a firm believer of Virayatan motto, Seva, Siksha, and Sadhana. And we were able, and everyone has also said that he was very resilient personality. He would not be shy of fundraising. And because of him, we were able to raise some money, and we were able to present the check to Sadhvi Sanghmitraji. And this is the picture from Palitana Netralay that our donation from our community members donation. Now we have one operating room, and I know it's a very blurry picture, but in this left picture, Operation Theater, at the very bottom, it says Jain Studies Center of North Carolina. So now our center's name is cemented in that Operation Theater. And as Rekhaben mentioned, Rekhaben, Induben, Mahesh Uncle, Madhukar Uncle, they were all present for that opening ceremony. And finally, I want to say this. I just read this, that the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. And yes, Madhukerbhai, you were one of that member. You will always, always live forever in our hearts. And we are desperately going to miss you. Rest in peace. Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Jai Janendra.
Thank you very much, Sejal. Geetaben, we prepared this session, Geetaben and family, all the children and grandchildren and son-in-law, daughter-in-law, all of you who are here with us. Amarathi kain પણ ભૂલચૂક થઈ ગઈ હોય. If we have, misstated anything, Michami Dukram. If you would like to say a few words, Dharmesh or Geetaben, please unmute. Don't feel like you have to. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you would like to, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, everybody. It was really, really nice tribute to Madhukar. And we're going to remember all of his memory. It was really nice of all of you. Thank you. And if anything, Madhukar or myself hurt anybody, please Michami Dukram to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the Mehta family? I'm sorry, my screen only has so many images, so I can't read all the names. If if anyone from the Mehta family would like to unmute and, share their thoughts, or maybe, ask one of us to elaborate on anything they may have heard.
My son Sanjay wants to say a few words.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he had written something for the other memorial service, and he wanted to share it with everyone, but he went to go get it. So yeah, I'll be right back. I think I might go help him find it. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Do I see Dina? Dina, are you still with us?
I'm still here. I actually think my mama, who was on the line, was the one who was trying to speak earlier.
Yeah.
If he is still on, Mahindra Mama, did you want to say anything?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Your
Oh.
video's not on, but I can hear you.
I can turn the video on. That's okay. I will do that. Just give me a minute. Hopefully. Can't connect to camera. I don't know why.
That's okay. If you want to just
it's all right
to us, that's okay.
My name is Mahendra Shah, and I'm Geeta's brother, elder brother, and Madhukerbhai is my brother-in-law. I've heard a number of people from North Carolina saying about all his good qualities and all, and I second that naturally. I've seen him right from almost like as many years that Geeta has been married, even prior to that. My elder sister got married also in Jamnagar, so we had connection with Madhukerbhai's family for almost like, I would say 1965, 66 onwards. Anyway, number of things that people have said. Basically, I know that he has been very helpful to the friends, but besides the friends, the family, he considered the family his utmost and closest and dearest to him. And I can say from my experience that whenever I needed him, he was always there. He came to this country earlier than me, and I came in a little bit later, a couple of years down the road. My sister Geeta got married here in United States. And ever since I came in, he had helped me to sort of get acquainted with the universities here, the lifestyle here. Moving from, I studied in Florida and I had my master's in Florida. So from there, I moved to Boston, and he was there in Boston. He helped me get another admission in Tufts University. So I studied with him. He had studied already in Tufts University. So he got me into admission into Tufts University. Thereafterwards, also the company that he was working for, he helped me get a job. So as you know that when you come from India, and that I'm talking about 70s, at that time we were only allowed $8, right? I mean, you come down here and it's nothing. Plus there is a lot of obligation of all the tuition and all the fees and everything for the studies. You need to pay it back because you have a loan from India and all those things. So he really helped me get a professional job. So in short, what I'm trying to say is the whole family, he has really helped whichever way he can. And he's been really instrumental in getting our family well settled and helped here. In closing, what I want to say is always the memories stay with us. And I have a particular song that this is very appropriate for him, and I would like to sing that. Those we love remain with us, for love itself lives on, and cherished memories never fade because a loved one is gone. Those we love can never be more than a thought apart, for as long as there is memory, they will live in our heart. Madhukerbhai, we're gonna surely miss you. And Om Shanti Shanti, Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra. Thank you, Mahendrabhai. Amy, are you ready?
She's muted. Okay. Hi. Yeah.
There you go.
Sanjay's ready. He's just adding one sentence to his speech, and then he would like to read it for all of you. Okay.
Right.
You ready, sweetie? Okay. 1 second. Okay. Okay, they're all ready for you. Okay, can you come look in the camera so that they can see you? And then open it to the beginning. Okay. 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 Okay.
No, we had a lot of
No,
fun
when in Singapore, remember?
in Singapore.
Yeah.
When they left Singapore, I was very upset. Dada and Daddy were there for my first day of school at BK Academy. Dada and Daddy came to our home on October 10th, 2020. I was very excited when Dada and Daddy came back here. We played lots of games. Dada's personality was loving. He taught me to be self-sufficient and independent. The games I played with Dada are Ludo, Dalton Patch, Duglabaji, Stop Art, Judgment, Phase 10, etc. Dada took an afternoon nap and played bridge games on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Dada spent a lot of time with me and was very playful. I know he will always be my superhero grandpa. I'm really proud of all the things he did. That's it. I'm Sanjay, I'm 6 years old.
Sanjay, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Really great. And, thank you for sharing that with us. You're awesome.
You're welcome.
I would just add, this is Dharmesh. I've met many of you, but maybe not all of you. I'm the middle kid in the family. It's funny hearing all your stories and about Dad's like meticulousness. If you knew what Mom and I have been doing over the last few days, I think I may have found check registers from 10 years ago, test scores from 20 years ago. I found a letter from when Mom got her first job. That was probably about 40 years ago.
Maybe more.
I found Dad's payroll stubs from Canada, which maybe is 45 years ago, all meticulously organized, probably recorded in triplicate. I haven't found all the copies. But as someone said, Dad will leave behind a lot of memories. And I never lived here in North Carolina, but all of you are his family. And so thank you for being his family. Thank you for taking care of my mom.
Thank you, Dharmesh. Geeta Ben, I'll echo the sentiment. We're here for you. As Praveen Uncle said in the beginning, wherever you decide to live, your family will always be here in North Carolina.
Yeah, I'll add on to Dharmesh's. Out of us 3 kids, I'm the one who spent time in North Carolina. Anandbhai, if you didn't pick the right school, it was UNC, by the way, when you're rooting for basketball teams. So hopefully you made that choice, right? But I've known many of you over those last 20 plus years, in that first YJ conference with Praveen Uncle to that 20th anniversary celebration, which Dad roped me into performing at, to even watching some of you put on and plan Rita's wedding a couple years ago, and how the community comes together for so many things. And I was with my mom when we came back to North Carolina about 10 days back, and you could feel the love and support from this community. The amount of food that has shown up, and we've had to tell every person here, please don't send more. Right now, we can't eat all of it in one day. Please take your time. But it is very heartwarming when we sit here in Seattle and Mom is in North Carolina, to know that she has all of you. We can sit here and reflect on the past and legacy of Dad, but knowing that Mom's future includes this family here in North Carolina is what gives us a lot of peace and comfort as well. So just want to say thank you for the roles that you played in my dad's life over the last 25 plus years. But more so, thank you for being that support for my mom in all the years to come.
Thank you, Dina.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
I can
Rajiv.
give you, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can maybe
You,
wrap
Rajiv,
up.
go ahead.
Sure, I can maybe wrap up from the family standpoint. So I think it's first, thanks to everyone for kind of spending the evening with us. I think it's great to kind of go through, a lot of new stories every time we get together. In the last few weeks, we've had a few of these kind of celebration of life. So I tend to learn something new about my dad, which is always kind of interesting and rewarding. So, you know, it's great to see this extended family that we have in North Carolina, and I appreciate everyone kind of spending the time and kind of sharing their stories and memories. I think that's what all of us have to take with us all the time. So once again, thanks to everyone, and I really appreciate it. And especially the presentation at the end, it was great seeing a lot of pictures that I had never seen before. You know, you've heard of these events or you've heard of these gatherings kind of secondhand, but getting to kind of actually see the pictures made it really kind of interesting and made it live. So thanks for also putting the energy and getting that together. It was really, really great to see. So thanks everybody.
Thank you, Rajiv. So I think we'll, in the interest of time, you know, we'll start wrapping up. I apologize. I don't think we'll be able to go through everybody who is in attendance. You know, obviously, I want to thank all of you to show up and help us celebrate Madhukar Uncle's life. I know there were a few of you who had reached out to me via chat, so maybe I'll just call out your names if you want to unmute and say a few words. And then after which we'll have Kshamapna and then we'll end. So the first one is Harshad Bhai. Harshad Bhai, if you'd like to say a few words, go ahead, keep it brief, unmute, and stage is yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I moved in Ghana in 2005 in Jyotsna, and my first Devo or the lamp that Madhukar showed me was Virayatan. And I've been to Virayatan at least 3-4 times. And the last time when there was a world conference, he can order me. So, okay, Harshad Bhai, you have to come there. So because of him, I went there. That was the 4th time in 2016. And I really, 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 though he was like my younger brother, I always call him Madhukerbhai. મારા જીવનમાં આ મનુષ્ય મારી સાથે મને મળ્યો એ ભગવાનનો ખૂબ ખૂબ ઉપકાર. ગીતાબેન, તમારો જે મને સાથ ને સંગાત મળ્યો મધુકરભાઈની સાથે, મારા તમને ખૂબ ખૂબ વંદન છે. અને પ્રભુ તમારા બંનેને સારું રાખે અને મધુકરભાઈનો આત્મા સુખ શાંતિથી રહે, એ જ મારી ભાવના. જય જિનેન્દ્ર.
Thank you. Do we have Kirit Bhai Parekh with us? Is he still with us? Okay, maybe not. Sudhakar Lahade. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, everybody's said a lot of great things, and probably what I might be saying is a repetition, but there's something unique that I want to share. And that uniqueness is that I know Madhukerbhai relatively for a short period of time, almost since last 2 years, 2.5 years or so. And I didn't have a huge amount of interactions with him, but I interacted with him few moments recently before he went to Seattle. And one of the moments that I'll never forget in my life is when I lost my job. I think everybody that I communicated with, everybody knew that what was going on. But he was the first person who called me up and he said, Sudhakar, this happens to everyone. So don't think that this is happening to you alone, and don't think that this is the end of the world. And so when people say that, we know that people are thinking about you, but sometimes it feels like this is just empty words and they're just trying to build you up. And then he went to Seattle, and I thought that was the end of the story. And one day I received a call again, and that was a little surprising because he was calling from Seattle after settling down there with his family. And he said, how's everything going on? And I want you to send me your resume. And I could not believe my own ears. That person who just barely knows me for a few months is not only just remembering, but making an effort after going far off with his family to take time out to call me and ask me to send my resume. And Dina, I don't know if you remember or not, he forwarded my resume to you. And that act itself was so heartwarming for me. For a person that I don't have deeper connection with, is taking care of not only what I'm going through, but what I need to do going forward. And then he continued texting me on multiple occasions. And now I'm treasuring Gita Masi, I'm treasuring his texts that are still on my cell phone. And I look at those texts and I remember him and his voice. So one way to say that is like, it is unusual for somebody to have that compassionate heart. And it is inspiring to say that people like that existed in this world or exist in this world. And inspiring for me to feel that, okay, can I be even 1% of what Madhukerbhai was? And a good thing, like last note I will say, is that he told me as a joke, I'm your brother. I'm like your older brother, so treat me like an older brother. And at that time I told him, Madhukerbhai, I have an older brother and his name is also Madhukar. And that completes the story. So I just wanted to share those few things with him. And I will always remember him, though even though he is not physically with us, I do hear his voice and I do feel the compassion that he showed in such a little interactions with me. So thank you for that too.
Thank you, Sudhakar, for the great story.
Absolutely.
Let me check the chat real quick if anyone's raised their hand. All right. Sounds like we're good. So Indira Ben Kishore Bhai, if you would, please go ahead and recite Kshamapna and wrap up.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra બધાને Jai Jinendra. સાંજે આપણે we have gathered today to celebrate Madhukerbhai's life, and we are really honored to be part here and be a part of the bigger family. Madhukerbhai was we were really honored by to say that in such a short time we made a very good friends with them. And they were always there to help us when I had my knee surgery. He himself came and dropped all the equipments that I would be needing after my surgery. And he was going to be leaving to Seattle in a couple days. So that was that shows how kind and helping personality of his. And listening to all of you really gave us, warmed our heart that really Madhukerbhai, we were just very fortunate to know both of them, and I'm honored to say Kshamapna in his memory. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayaryanam, Namo Uvasayanam, Namo Loe Savasahunam. Namo Karo, Savva Pava Pranasano, Manglanam Cha Savvesi, Padamam Havai Mangalam. હે ભગવાન હું બહુ ભૂલ્યો, મેં મારા અમૂલ્ય વચનોને લક્ષ્યમાં લીધા નહીં, તમારા કહેલા અનુપમ તત્વોનો મેં વિચાર કર્યો નહીં, તમારા પરિણિત કરેલા ઉત્તમશીલને સેવ્યું નહીં, તમારા કહેલા દયા, શાંતિ, ક્ષમા અને પવિત્રતા મેં ઓળખ્યા નહીં. હે ભગવાન હું બહુ ભૂલ્યો, બહુ આથડ્યો, રઝળ્યો, અનંત સંસારની વિટંબનામાં પડ્યો છું. હું પાપી છું, હું બહુ મદોન્મંત અને કર્મરજથી કરીને મલિન છું. હે પરમાત્મા, તમારા કેલા તત્વો વિના મારો મોક્ષ નથી. હું નિરંતર પ્રપંચમાં પડ્યો છું, અજ્ઞાનથી અંત થયો છું, મારામાં વિવેક શક્તિ નથી, હું મૂઢ છું, નિરાશ્રિત છું, અનાથ છું. હે નિરાગી પરમાત્મા, હું હવે તમારું, તમારા ધર્મનું, તમારા મુનિનું શરણ ગ્રહું છું. મારા અપરાધો ક્ષય થાય, હું સર્વ પાપથી મુક્ત થાવ, એવી મારી અભિલાષા છે. આગળ કરેલા પાપોનું હવે પશ્ચાતાપ કરું છું. જેમ જેમ હું સૂક્ષ્મ વિચારોથી ઊંડો ઉતરું છું, તેમ તેમ તમારા તત્વના ચમત્કારો મારા સ્વરૂપનો પ્રકાશ કરે છે. તમે નિરાગી, નિર્વિકારી, સચ્ચિદાનંદ સ્વરૂપ, સહજાનંદી, અનંત જ્ઞાની અને ત્રૈલોક્ય પ્રકાશક છો. હું માત્ર મારા હિતને અર્થે આપની સાક્ષી ક્ષમા ચાહું છું. એક પણ કરેલા તમારા તત્વની શંકા ન થાય. તમારા કહેલા રસ્તામાં હું અહોરાત્ર રહું, એ જ મારી આકાંક્ષાને વૃદ્ધિ થાવ. હે સર્વજ્ઞ ભગવાન, હું તમને વિશે શું કહું? તમારાથી કંઈ અજાણ્યું નથી. માત્ર પશ્ચાતાપથી હું મારા કર્મજન્ય પાપની ક્ષમા ઈચ્છું છું. ઓમ શાંતિ શાંતિ શાંતિ.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Thank you, everyone. Geeta Ben, Dharmesh, the whole Mehta family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra. Jai Jinendra, everybody.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra, everyone.
Please